Good morning, Glenn. This is Linda.
Yes,
I'd
ma'am.
like to have a chance to clarify some statements that were made yesterday at a phone call after I called in about the fifth penny.
Okay.
To clarify, I think there's some folks out there that may be confusing the fifth, as in 5 fingers on your hand, penny tax, with the sixth penny, as in a 6-pack. Okay? Now, this is a visual for you.
Yeah.
To try and separate
Talk
this.
really nice and slow.
Yeah. The fifth penny tax, which is the one that's up on the ballot this time around, is used by the municipalities and the county for road and street maintenance. It is used for law enforcement equipment. It is used for fire protection equipment. It is used for health and human services projects, and it also goes to the library. That's kind of it in a nutshell. Okay, now I named 5 things, so you can put one on each finger. Fifth penny tax. Now, when you start looking at road and street maintenance, I want to remind everybody that property taxes are not used for road and street maintenance. So when people tell me that property taxes, I pay my property taxes, I should have better roads. Well, property tax isn't used for road and street maintenance. When it comes to our law enforcement, the money is used to buy vehicles and to equip the cars with the radios and the technology that needs to go into those cars, the iPads, all of the stuff that they use so that they can respond quickly. Some of those cars, depending on how they're fitted, K9 unit adds cost to it. You can look at from $25,000 to $35,000 to fit those cars. And yes, we are switching. A lot of the agencies are switching over to a 4-wheel drive vehicle because in our climate, during the winter, those are very necessary. And when you get out into the county, those benefit the deputies being able to access some of those areas that they couldn't get into with a car. Okay, now let's go to the fire protection. There's only about $580,000 that's raised in over a 4-year period for fire protection. And what that is used, it's divided between the 9 fire districts in the county. The city uses theirs a little differently, but in the county it's divided between our 9 volunteer fire districts to go towards purchasing of apparatus, purchasing breathing gear, bunker gear, whatever it is that they need to use. The fire chiefs decide who gets that money, and they're very judicious with it. I've had the honor in the last 2 years of being the liaison to the Fire Chiefs Association here in the county, and I've watched them discuss back and forth the various items that they are requesting that funding for, and they will prioritize who needs the funding more than somebody else. Keep in mind that some of those trucks that they use that we see on the streets and on our roads responding to our fires, those big red trucks can run anywhere from $250,000, $350,000 and up, depending on whether they're a used truck that they are reconditioning or whether they're a brand new truck, and also what the equipment is that's on it. They use that money a lot of times as match money to leverage grants in order to get some of this equipment. Okay, our library is also funded by that. If you go to the library and you see stickers on books that say 1%, those books and items were paid for with the 1% of, or with the fifth penny tax. They call it the 1%. Even in the city, you'll see signs that say this project funded by the 1%. Okay, that's coming out of the fifth penny or the 1% on a dollar tax. And now I'm confusing everybody by saying that, but that's how you can identify some of those
I always was suspicious whenever I looked at one of those signs that said, paid for by by penny tax, that the penny went to buying signs.
No,
okay.
No. But that's how, the library and the city identifies those projects that are paid for that way. Okay, we've talked about road and street maintenance. We've talked about law enforcement. We've talked about fire. We've talked about the library. Human services, a lot of that, at least in the county, goes towards Peak Wellness, who does mental health counseling. They do drug and alcohol treatment. Safe House Camilla Shelter, various entities like that throughout Cheyenne. Another one that gets support is the American Red Cross, and that money stays here locally. And what it is used for is if somebody's house burns down, the American Red Cross will show up and get them into some housing. A lot of times they'll give them a gift card in order to replace some clothing. Of course, they're basically out in the street with what's on their back. When we had the tornado over in Federal earlier this year, they gave the residents that lost their homes gift cards so that they could do just that. They could replace some clothing and, start to carry on with their lives, even though it's a terrible time in their lives at that point in time. So that's just some of the things that we use the Human Services funding for. We also have another section in there that we call capital outlay. In the county, most of that money goes to our IT projects. And when you talk to the IT folks, what they use that for is they're using that for public safety and fire first responder communication systems. The county houses a lot of the communications. Of course, we have a combined communication system, but we do house a lot of the various programs that our first responders use on our servers, and help maintain the other servers that are in, or programs that are involved in that. So that just kind of gives you an overview of what the fifth penny is used for.
Okay.
Now, when I say the sixth penny, and I say the sixth pack, you think of a six-pack of beer, you think of a six-pack of sodas. That has a special connection on that six-pack. Okay, that's the sixth penny, which means it's a special purpose option tax. In other words, those projects have to be, or the money that is raised through that tax goes to specific projects that the voters are aware of and get a chance to vote on. The comment was made that the money is being used frivolously, that the projects are coming in late, they're coming in over budget. I can't speak for what the city has done. That's been in the paper. Everybody's seen what's going on there. But on the county level, we have decided this year that we are bonding our projects and trying to get them done early. Now, we have some entities that are holding off on a fire station because they're waiting on the tax collection to come in, and they will build when they get more of that tax collection in. But on the bonding, the projects that the county has going on right now are on time, under budget. And we made the decision to hire an owner's rep who is doing a fantastic job at seeing that those projects are on track to be completed when we say they are, and with the funds that the voters have approved.
Okay, that should lay it out for him. I'm going to take everything he just gave us and turn it over, the recording over to Doug, who can hopefully write up an article and post this so everybody can see how it's laid out. And if anyone has any questions, what's the next meeting they can go to?
There is another meeting tomorrow night, another open house that will be held out at the Archer Complex. It will be at the community house. As you drive into the complex, it'll be the first road to the left. You kind of follow that around, bear to the right. There's a small frame building that's there on the right-hand side. It's kind of limited parking, but you can park over at the M&K building, the two big metal buildings right there, and walk over. It's not that far. Please come out and ask questions. We have county department representatives that are coming out, and they are more than happy to answer your questions that you have so that you can get further detail as to how that money is spent. There will be a representative from the city and a couple of commissioners out there so that we can answer questions as well. We just want to get the information out to the voters. Everybody says transparency, transparency, transparency. Well, we're trying to be transparent with what this money is used for.
Right.
And we want to get the word out to the voters. So at 6 o'clock tomorrow night at the community house out at the Archer Complex is our last open house that we will be doing. We've had some already this week and then last week as well. And they haven't been well attended, and I am remiss and would admit that we were remiss in getting it out to the public via the media